Good evening, everybody. All of the pictures you'll see tonight were taken in either 1985, 1989, or 1990. They're all from Kodachrome or FujiPro via slides. And let's get started. This first picture you're seeing is Union Pacific DDA 40X. It's on a excursion from Denver to Spear. We're heading to Spear to pick up the 3985 for an excursion to Laramie and back. And they used the 3980, the 6936 for the Denver to Spear part. They had a photo run by. This is a photo run by, and there's a wide angle shot. So it was a really nice photo run by that they had there. The train was packed. I didn't put a lot of 3985 shots in. We had 12 photo run bys on Sherman Hill. This one is at MK with the 3985.
Is Spear where the UP has a water column for steam runs?
I have no idea.
Okay.
When we got to Laramie, we got off the train and we waited for them to turn it. And of course, we all stood on the pedestrian overpass and got a number of freights. This was one of them. Back in those days, of course, there were no wide nose engines in 1985. And so you had SD 40-2s or U-boats, and you see a Norfolk and Western mixed in on this. And then on the way back to Spear, we had multiple photo run bys with the 3985. This was one at Red Buttes. And it was really great. The weather was perfect. The Rocky Mountain Railroad Club had gone out 2 weeks ahead of time and manicured all the photo run by spots so that everything was just looking really great. And the UP police threw out all the chasers. No chasers got any shots at the photo run bys.
Mr. Speedy would be proud of that.
We were paying $85 in for this, so that was pretty good amount of money in 1985. All right, so after we got back to Denver, I went out on my own for a week rail fanning just by myself. One of the places you always visited when you were in that area was the Burlington Northern's Denver engine facility, which was quite accessible from an overpass in downtown Denver. And as you can see, there were tons of engines in there at that time. If you go back there today and look at this, it looks nothing like that. All kinds of different GEs and EMDs. Then I took off out on the road, and now we're in Bridgeport, Nebraska for a BN coal train. Tucked in behind there is a Santa Fe unit. It was not unusual to see lots of foreign power mixed in out in this area at that time with the host railroad. This is another place. This is, let me see where this is. This is Northport, Nebraska. And this was 1985, October. And if you went back there today and stood in the same place I'm standing in, it doesn't look much different. That house is still up on the hill. The other house is there, and there's really nothing else there except what you see other than new power. This is in Alliance, Nebraska. I stumbled upon this. It was a rail car facility called Swepco, and this is a GE SL 136 engine, which originally Burlington Northern had, and then they decided not to order any of them, and somehow this Swepco Southwestern Power Company got a hold of them. And this is just kind of a general shot in the Alliance area of a hopper train with good mix of power, Missouri Pacific units, Union Pacific. It's always good to see all those mixtures of power. At least I like them. This is at the west end of Alliance Yard with a couple Missouri Pacific units, a Union Pacific with Missouri Pacific lettering. They were doing at that time. And this was just an overpass. You could park right here. It was easy access, lots of trains.
Didn't Mopac have a gear logo at one time?
A what?
I thought it was like a gear, with a tooth gear. Maybe I'm thinking of another railroad.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, you might see that later on. This is the Screaming Eagle logo here. Same place a little while later, a Katy SD40-2 on the front. So you just never knew what you were going to see when you stood on this bridge. This is just another coal empties coming out of Alliance. Lots of coal trains at this time in that area. That's at a place called Hemingford, I believe. Now we're up at Crawford, Nebraska, at the base of Crawford Hill at the helper station. And I was fortunate to talk a crew into letting me ride a 4-unit helper set up to the top of Crawford Hill and back, which was very nice. So you could find mostly SD40-2s here. There were cabooses there. Can't do that today. There were very few non-coal moves on Crawford Hill. I don't know what this move was with this SD9 unit with just some empty hoppers and a caboose on the rear. It may have been ballast. I don't know. I don't remember. All right, now we're down on Crawford Hill itself. I was able to get a 2-day pass from the BN police to be able to drive up and down the hill whenever I wanted to, as long as I stayed off the track, which I did. So I was very fortunate to do that. Now here's one of the manifests that you see on Crawford Hill. I think there was like one a day, and I got lucky. This is at the top of Crawford Hill at Belmont. This is the other manifest coming up to the top of the hill at Belmont.
How much coal traffic do they have there today?
Still a good amount. Nothing like they used to have. I don't think anything like 50 or 60, 70 trains a day, which they had then, but it's considerably cut back now.
Coming out of the Potomac River Basin? Yes.
This train here? Yes. Oh yeah, yeah. This is an empty hopper train coming down, coming into Crawford. This is from the main highway at Crawford.
what are the white diesels? What railroad is that?
As I said before, you could see lots of different foreign power at this particular time, and they're Kansas City Southern SD40-2s.
Okay.
Okay, this was really nice. Had a great, as they call it, storm light in the afternoon. That was the same train that you just saw with the Kansas City Southerns on it. This is the other side of Crawford, heading up to Donkey Creek, or well, actually heading up, I think it was called Newcastle, and then you went over to Donkey Creek and Gillette. But anyway, this was a really nice lighting on this train. And there's the going away shot. We never did have any rain or storm, but just had those nice black clouds in there. It's another area, the different stuff you could see. I mean, there was hardly any time that you didn't see a train somewhere off in the distance. Now this one, as you can see, the fourth piece back is one of their fuel tenders, as they call them. Normally there was just 4 units with a fuel tender, but today they had 5. I don't know why. Okay, so now we switched over to a place called Crandall on the Chicago and Northwestern, and you can see 2 different paint schemes on the Northwesterns. The so-called, what was the beginning one, the Crandall paint or whatever it was, the bright yellow as opposed to the darker yellow, and then there's 2 Union Pacific units in the back that are lettered Missouri Pacific. You know, the coming UP merger, or maybe it was, or was it there already in, it was there already in 85?
But they were purchased just before merger and Kane and UP paid for the General Pacific. But that's all.
And now we're at Bill, Wyoming, the headquarters on the Powder River Basin, Chicago and Northwestern. And here was a fairly freshly painted SD 45, which was still was still in use at that time. Not many SD 45s around at that time. And that was always one of my favorite diesels. So I was happy to see that.
C&NW is stretched out to, where you said this is, Wyoming?
This is in Bill, Wyoming, up above Douglas. It's in the Powder River Basin. It was the headquarters of the Powder River Basin.
C&NW.
For C&W, yeah. And on this particular day, I'll run through this real quick. They had a work window going on, and since there were no trains running during the day, the dispatcher in the building there that you see behind the SD 45 made arrangements for me to tour the Jacobs Ranch mine. And they took me up in I met them up there, and they took me all around in a pickup truck all through the Jacobs Ranch mine. Unfortunately, they wouldn't let me take any pictures, but it was still really great to be able to do that. And then once I got back here in the afternoon, when the work window was off, it was like streetcars.
What was it? What was pulled out of that mine? What kind of ore?
Coal. It was Jacobs Ranch coal mine.
Coal. Oh, okay.
Strip mining? Yes.
Yes, all strip mine. Here again, you can see where there were lots of combinations of power. The Northwestern SD units with the streetcar bell in the front, as they called it, plus Union Pacific units behind it. And then you can see how wide open it is up there. There are a number of overpasses next to the highway where you can go, and this was really nice. As I pulled up here, the train was coming down the hill and just came to a stop. It would have been nice if they'd pulled a little bit further to get all the Union Pacific engines out of the shadow. But as long as the Northwesterns were out, I was happy. But they stopped here and sat here, and by the time they left, the shadows was all halfway up the side of the engines. Further down on the Powder River line, got this BN train again with a fuel tender in it. One time when I was out here with Jim Kleeman, the guy asked us to come over to the engine and ask us if we'd sign up to become engineers. He said, "We need engineers." He says, "The only downside is you have to move to Gillette, Wyoming." We said, "No, thanks."
Is the C&NW at that far west because of the merger with the UP?
No, they had their own line here. This was their line.
Oh, okay.
Now there's a rail car facility there that, let's see what, I wrote that down. Come on, Bill, it's right in front of your face. North American Car NW250. This was built in 9 of 49 as a C&O 5210. So this ex-C&O engine now, at that time, I have no idea what happened to it now, but it was ex-C&O NW2 working in Wyoming in a rail car facility. This is a picture taken from that bridge and another, of the BN trains. I mean, sometimes it was just almost nonstop trains back in this time. And then before I checked into my hotel, this is what greeted me. So I decided to take this sunset shot.
Nice.
The next day I went to Guernsey, Wyoming, which was a big fueling and crew change facility for Burlington Northern. If you go there today, it looks nothing like this. The only track that's there is the track on the left. None of the fueling facility is there. Nothing else is there except one track coming through there. So that's a difference between 85 and 2024.
Due to the decline in coal.
And I don't know, to tell you the truth. It's been like that probably for at least 5 years that it's been empty. Now we're at the North Platte River. There's numerous angles that you can get here on the North Platte River. This is an eastbound trailer train coming into Guernsey. Not much water in the river. Very easy access. And then those trains were very easy to chase because they stopped in Guernsey for a cruise. So if you wanted to get more pictures of them, you could just drive a couple miles down the road and set up on the side like this, and there you get them again.
What's the reason for the orange and black on one of those engines?
Just something BN did at one time just for more visibility, I guess. It never took. I think they only had it on a few engines in the long run. Here's another train coming through that cut after a crew change. And the nice thing, of course, about having quality zoom lenses back in those days was you could zoom in and get that shot and then get more. Well, I'll show you that later, but you could get more different shots. Now here again, I'm back at the North Platte River, and this time it's four Missouri, Kansas, Texas SD40-2s with a GE on the front. So again, as I said before, you never knew what you were going to see.
You showed that. Sorry,
Go
you
ahead.
showed that fueling facility in Guernsey. Why then did they need a fuel tender in the train?
I don't know. So I chased after the one with the Katy units in it because that was something I hadn't seen much of, and I wanted to get as many shots of those Katys as I could. There it is again. Very easy to chase here. They're only doing about maybe 10 to 15 miles an hour until they get pretty far out, and then they kick it up a little bit. Now we're up west of Guernsey. There's a tunnel up on a hill at a park, and I was able to access that. This is a westbound going into the tunnel. You can see it's empty. They're heading back to the Powder River Basin for a fill up. And then you didn't have to wait very long to get one popping out of the tunnel. And of course, notice on the engines, no ditch lights. This was 1985. Older GEs, Santa Fe engine in the back there. And I chased that train. Remember, I was by myself and I just wanted to get as many shots as I could since it was my first time there. So now I'm up on that S-curve hill, and here comes a train with a couple of Missouri Pacific SD40-2s in it and about 6, 7 Burlington Northern engines. Back to the North Platte River on the west side, as a train is leaving Guernsey with a Santa Fe leader. You know what? I might be wrong there. It looks like the smoke is blowing toward the rear. That might be a big set of helpers on an eastbound. I'll have to check that. All right, so we're coming to the end of the 1985 trip, and here's a look. You saw Burlington Northern's engine facility earlier. This is Denver and Rio Grande's facility, of course. And again, if you went there today, you could see that grain facility in the distance, but most of everything else is gone. There's a few tracks in there, but other than that, not much. And actually some clean Rio Grande units in that picture. Amazing. This is in downtown Denver. Yes. No. Is it Roper?
No,
Roper's in Salt Lake City. North Yard. Yeah. Thank you, Bob. And even again, a couple fairly clean Rio Grande units, except for the one on the point, and some nice dirty cabooses there. But anyway, that was basically how I ended my 1985 trip. I don't know what that was about. Somehow or the other, this picture got in this show. It wasn't supposed to, but I guess it got in there. If you notice on the telephone pole, there's a hawk on the pole. This is on the SEMA sub out in the Nevada desert. So now we are in just west of Cheyenne. This is the start of 1989, I believe. Yeah, this is the start of 1989. This is February of 1989. And this, all these places are very accessible. At least they were at the time. I don't know about now. From what I understand, you can't get anywhere near Sherman Hill. So my brother and I got to Laramie, and we had no idea that this train was running. We were just going to head across Sherman Hill to Evanston and chase Union Pacific trains. And all of a sudden we come across this, the Wyoming, Colorado Railroad. They were running an excursion to Centennial, Wyoming for a fancy barbecue that was a reserved seat train. We were not able to participate in that, but that's okay, because I would rather chased it anyway once I saw what it was. And here's what it was. An ABA set of Mountain Diesel, Wyoming, Colorado, FP7s, FP7A, B, A, formerly Alaska Railroad. So we found out that this was going to be going to a place called Centennial, and we decided, okay, we're going to chase this train. So I may overdid this a little bit. I won't go too slow on it. But when you get a chance to photograph bright red FP7s, you take every chance you can get. There's one of the single units. These are ex-Alaska Railroad units. Closed up of the 1510. There's the B unit. That's the best I could do on the other F unit because of tight quarters. There's an ex-Alaska Railroad coach and a dome car. All this stuff was sitting around, and we had ample time to photograph it before they left to head west to Centennial. By the way, the tracks from Laramie to Centennial and Albany are all gone. It's nothing more than just a rail trail now. I don't remember when they took them all out, but it's been years. This was 1989. In Laramie, there was this was the information center for Laramie. Nice UP caboose. We had time to photograph that. Somewhere along the way, we saw this U.S. Air Force unit 1644. Let me see. Did I put down what that was? No. Okay, now we're at Laramie again. They're getting ready to go. They've got the train hooked up. And now we're in chase mode. Whoa, what happened to the B unit? For some reason, they took the B unit off. And it was, even though this was February, this was August of 89. It was just that one picture with the hawk that was February. This is August of 89. So yeah, it was quite hot, as I recall, because you can see they have the air conditioning on. The front door of the F unit's open. So we chased this train for a while. My brother was driving, so I was able to do some shots out the window without seeing the front door open, which was quite nice. Must have been nice riding in that day, especially going to a good old-fashioned Western barbecue. Coming down a little dip with the door open. little closer. Going away.
Besides this excursion train, what other trains would have been plying these rails?
I know of nothing. The whole time we chased this train, I saw nothing where they could have any business.
Yeah, I rode
This was a
1990.
this was a Union Pacific line. What'd you say, Gordy?
I rode this train in 1992. It was a UP branch. I don't think they ever had any freight, and it's gone now.
Yeah, long gone.
That door is open for air conditioning. Is that to cool the compressor or what?
No, to cool the crew. This was
Oh,
August of '89. It was hot.
Oh, actual air conditioning.
Yeah,
Okay, gotcha.
it was probably 90 degrees out. So anyway, we finally got to Centennial.
That's something in Alaska.
That's something I think Alaska put on it. Yeah, Alaska put that snow plow. So now we're at Centennial. People are getting off the train to go to the barbecue. And of course, we have tons more time to take tons more pictures. And the door closed. On the left in that picture is my brother, Don. Unfortunately, he just passed away in March, 83 years old. And the engineer is on the right. So they were very accommodating. We just took a bunch of pictures of it. As I said, it's not every day you get to see 2 ex-Alaska F units out in the middle of Wyoming. So we just. So now the train has actually gone to a place called Albany and is turning. And again, getting as many shots as I can. There's Albany. We had great sun angles for the most part. Clouds started to come in. Now the 1510 is on the front. Coming about around a big horseshoe curve here. Clouds coming in, which actually helped a little bit. And now they're on their way back to Laramie. And you can see what's meant by the wide open spaces. There's a close-up of that shot with the cattle out in the field, the hill on the side. This was at, as I recall, this was at about 10,500 feet above sea level. Back in Centennial, there was a nice caboose on display where the barbecue was. Now they're on their way back again, more back to Laramie shots. I mean, the train was only doing probably 20 at best the whole time. So you can understand why it was so easy to get so many shots and chase it, because the road was practically right next to the tracks or not too far from the tracks. Once we got back, I took another shot of the engineer in the, actually, I think that's the engineer in the door and the conductor in the window. And then there's yours truly posing with the engine. My brother took that picture. Then I took a picture of my brother with the engineer and the conductor. So that was the end of that with the Wyoming, Colorado. We did quite well there. I can't be upset about that. Now we're up on Sherman Hill at just west of Dale Junction. In these days, it was very easy just to drive right in there. Nobody bothered you. Nowadays, it's a fortress. So we're just east of Hermosa Tunnel here. And the train here is probably doing all of about 10. So, you know, you get shots, get a telly, a wide angle, you jump in the car, get to the other side of the tunnels, and boom, there you get it popping out. Same train. You can get a tele, a normal, and a wide with no problem. Back in Laramie, I don't know what it was doing there, but there was a Burlington Northern SD. I believe that's an SD 9. I don't know why it was sitting in Laramie, but it was. This is at tie siding at the Signal Bridge at tie siding, east of Laramie.
You said Sherman Hill is inaccessible now. Is that just because there are so many people trying to get photos that it became dangerous, or?
I think partially, it was being overrun by rail fans, but I think it's just in general, you know, the attitude of security today, especially after 9/11.
Okay.
Okay, now we're down in Nebraska at a place called Angora, which I was told is the rattlesnake capital of Nebraska. So here you go. This is another one of those wild lash ups with a Burlington Northern engine on the front. This is south of Alliance. This has an Oakway leaser unit, SD60, and a couple Union Pacific units in it. This is a coal train coming out of the Powder River. This is one of the manifests that was running that day. Had a couple of those LMX B39-H that Burlington Northern was leasing. They had been using them mostly on hotshot intermodal trains between Chicago and Seattle and other hotshots that they would do it. But in a while, you'll see something different. Now, this is on Crawford Hill, just south by compass of the town of Crawford. Very easy access up and down Crawford Hill at this time. Road right beside the tracks. I mean, I'm just leaning up against the car taking this picture. You can see the road over on the left. It crosses the tracks down the bottom, comes right up the right side. As far as I know, it's just like that today. Nothing's been built here. You can get plenty, multiple shots. There's all kinds of curves coming around, and depending on the time of day, you know, your light angles are great. Okay, so here's what I was talking about. For a short period of time, Burlington Northern found out that they were putting too many miles on these lease units and paying too much money for them. So they decided to cut back on their mileage and use them in helpers on Crawford Hill for coal trains. Well, that worked out for about 6 months until they found out it wasn't working. The crews absolutely hated them for helpers. They wanted their SD40-2s and C30s back. But there for a while, we were lucky enough to get out there and get them. It was only about 6 months. And there in downtown Crawford is another set of the LMX helpers, waiting for another coal train. A couple different views. Back up on Crawford Hill, another a train with Kansas City Southern units mixed in. Another set of the LMX helpers pushing up the hill. From down below, different set. So now we're up in East Ardmore, North Dakota. Not too far out of Nebraska, above Crawford Hill. We just decided to ride up there, and my brother had never been in North Dakota, so basically we're just basically across the line just to get some shots so he could say he was in North Dakota. That's the tele shot and the wide angle shot with the signal. This is back at the main highway overpass down from Crawford. The town of Crawford is there in the distance where you see the elevator and the silos, and the helper station is down there. This one had a Santa Fe F-45 as the fourth unit. 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth unit. Again, back at the top of the hill at Belmont, this is where they would pull forward. This is the front of the train where they would pull forward and then cut the helpers off. And then they would roll back down Crawford Hill to the town and wait for their next train. The cut above the fourth unit, third and fourth units there, as you can see, down in that cut is the original tunnel when it was the original CB&Q, when it was single track and there was a tunnel through there. The tunnel is still there. I drove through it actually. Here's another set of the LMX helpers having just cut off from the rear. They're getting ready to drift back down to the town of Crawford. I've been there probably, I don't know, maybe 7, 8 times, I guess, in my life, and I've never seen them use that track on the right yet. I don't know what it's there for. Looks like it's in great shape. Hey, now we're in Lusk, Wyoming on Chicago and Northwestern. And on the point here are two fresh out of the showroom C40-8s. As far as I know, that water tower is still there, looks about the same. We had to deal with some wires here, but it was worth it. Well, they're not quite fresh out of the showroom, but pretty close. So we chased some Northwestern trains here. The road follows the tracks right along. They go very slow. You could probably chase them on a bicycle. This one has a Union Pacific Unit 3rd. Photo opportunities were just numerous along this line. Here's one with some SD 60 liters on them, Northwestern SD 60s. They had a bunch of those. Again, a Union Pacific wide nose SD 60M in the consist. Now we're on in the Powder River Basin. I forget the exact name of this hill, but anyway, this one has one of the Oakway SD 60 liters on it. As I said before, you just never know what you're going to see. Now this train, this is from the overpass just north of the headquarters at Bill. If you went there today, this is triple tracked now. Although I've heard that they're taking the third track out. So it went from single to double to triple, and now it's going back to double. Who knows? Maybe it'll go back to single if all the coal plants close.
Is that telephoto doing that to that extra rail? Is that extra rail on the side there that looks like it's bent or what?
Yeah, it's just new rail they've got laid down, or old rail that they took out. I think it's probably old rail that they took out based on what the ballast looks like and how clean it is there. Hard to tell.
The telephoto lens is just making it look that way, I guess. Okay.
But probably, yeah. I zoomed way in on that. Here's another spot on the Powder River line. Again, as I say, this is triple tracked now. At least the last time I was there, it was triple tracked, but I think they're taking at least one of those tracks out due to the decline in coal business. There's like a wide angle shot of the same shot. Now this pair of Northwestern C40-8s almost are right out of the showroom. They're really clean. They were just parked in the Bill yard waiting for a crew. Never had any problem walking up alongside the tracks, taking pictures here back in those days.
What year is this?
This is 1989, August of 1989. Now we're down at Shawnee Junction. It's one of my favorite shots that has 4 different railroads in it, so to speak. BN, the Oakway lease engines, Chicago Northwestern, of course, Union Pacific. And this was a very easy place to get to. And you could see multiple trains here, you know, throughout the day. You could see meets like this.
Is that named because there's a Shawnee Reservation around there? Or?
I would imagine so. It was called Shawnee Junction. I don't really know why, but that sounds reasonable. This is in a place in Wyoming called Chugwater. We were looking for a motel. Chugwater had it, and we saw this train was sitting down by the facility here with no crew, just waiting for a crew. So we got there just in time because 15-20 minutes later, the lower part of that engine was all in shadow. This is a little bit west of Chugwater. Nice butte in the background made for a good prop. This is now in Palmer Lake, Colorado. We moved on from the Powder River Basin. We're down in Colorado at Palmer Lake with a Santa Fe FP45 and one of the ill-fated Kodachrome paint schemes on a SD45-2.
That's a former Amtrak SDP40F that Santa Fe.
Oh, is that? Yeah, you're right. That's 50. I should know that by the number scheme, 5250. Yeah. That's what they call them? SDFP45s or something like that. They had a couple of different names for them. Anyway, it is an XE Amtrak engine. This is down by Palmer Lake at a grade crossing. This train is actually stopped, which is why I was able to get this shot from this side and then from the other side. Very friendly crew. We were at a grade crossing. I mean, we weren't doing anything wrong. Then here's another coal train coming southbound on the joint line at Palmer Lake. And then up a little bit further, of course, Rio Grande used that line. So here's a Rio Grande train came along. So we had the best of both worlds that afternoon. The Oakway leaser engine. Okay, now we took a trip up to Leadville and to check out the Leadville, Colorado and Southern. So the Leadville, Colorado and Southern has this GP9 1714, which was originally built in August of 1955 as Northern Pacific 241. So you never know where these engines are going to wind up. And then this unit here was a former Northern Pacific unit built in August of 57. So these weren't running. We just got rocker shots of them. But the light was great and can't turn it down. Also a nice Leadville, Colorado and Southern caboose. I don't remember the heritage of that. Probably Burlington. And then up on the Tennessee Pass line, we had this Rio Grande train at a place called Mitchell. Say it's not Mitchell?
No,
I thought it was.
no, Mitchell is on the west side of Tennessee Pass. I think this is a place called Kelnard, but I won't swear.
Okay, I had my slide marked as Mitchell, but whatever. This is down on the joint line. This is a helper set pushing on the rear of a caboose. Something's wrong with one of them. A lot of smoke coming out.
When the helpers are hooked on, does the crew aboard the helpers have anything to do?
Oh, back in that day, they did. They weren't DPUs, not distributed power units like they have today, where the engineers controlling everything. No, they had a lot to do.
If I might
Yes, sir.
interject, having done this, the helper crew handles the power and listens to what's going on with the head end, and the head end controls the brakes.
This is back in downtown Denver. When I posted this picture, I got more comments on the stadium and the arena than I did on the train. A lot of people were talking about that's Mile High Stadium, and I forget I think it was called the Denver Arena maybe or something. I'm not sure. And then there's the eastbound California Zephyr. Imagine you rode that, huh, Gordy?
Yeah, I've ridden that, both the Rio Grande Zephyr and Amtrak's California Zephyr, yeah.
And you'll notice there on the left, I really didn't include a picture in here, even though I got a fairly decent shot, is one of those skytop lounge cars.
Yeah, there was one that lived there for a number of years in the
Yeah.
80s, 90s.
I took a shot of it, but as you can see, it was hooked up to another car, so yeah, okay. All right, now we're in Minneapolis, St. Paul at Hoffman Street, which was a very accessible place at that particular time. I've heard that it is today and it isn't today. Some people go there, some people don't. I don't know. I haven't been there. So anyway, you can see a pretty battered Milwaukee road unit under Soo Line, along with a Soo Line Jeep here, just a local switcher. Look at this Northwestern GP7. Much in need of a coat of paint, but still some pretty nice stuff to see. This was Great Lakes Coal and Dock Company, SW1, built as a Soo Line in September of 1939. And this was 1989. So 50 years old. Is my math right on that? And look, it's in great shape. It was working. Couple Northwestern SD9s. Switching around. Couple of Soo SD60s in the bright red. This was at Stillwater. This was called the Stillwater Central, I believe. This train was named the Minnesota Zephyr. I don't know how I got this so sharp. I shot this, it was almost dark. I mean, I shot this like at a 1/10 of a second handheld. But it came out. That's all I'm happy with. This unfortunately, this train is now gone. I don't know where the F unit wound up, but it's not been scrapped as far as I know. Anyway.
We saw like that, we saw that down.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's where it is, Alamos.
Very bad.
One of the nice things about when I did take this picture and at the slow shutter speed that I used, it was doing about 2 miles an hour. Okay, now we're in Minneapolis at Soo's, the south end of Soo's yard. One of their units. This is at Staples, Minnesota. Early in the morning. We're chasing some trains here.
Telegraph wires are down.
What do you say?
Telegraph.
Oh, yeah.
Telegraph wires are down.
This is, the hell is this railroad? The Otter Valley Railroad. And now we're in Valley City, North Dakota. Is it North Dakota? Yeah. So I was able to get this shot across the field, and then all I had to do was just turn to my right to get that shot, which was real nice. And then we chased this train from Valley City up to Minot. My brother was driving, so I was able to shoot some shots out the window. This is a place called Dale, Minnesota, I think. Or, no, this is Dale. The other one was Moorhead.
Was your brother a rail fan too?
Yes. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
What's the full name of the Soo Line? I've forgotten.
Minneapolis, St. Paul,
St. Marie.
and Sault Ste. Marie. Thank you, Bob.
Okay.
So this was, we caught this train, we chased it, and fortunately, he stopped here and did some switching at these really neat looking elevators. I love these elevators. So then we chased him again. This is basically coming into Minot. This is at Williston, the western end of North Dakota. While we were at Minot, we did drive to the Air Force Base, and we were able to get fairly close to the B-52s, not real close, but we were able to see them pretty good. I doubt that you could do it today.
You know where the famous Bakken oil fields are right there?
If you go here today, none of that's there. It's bare, completely bare.
Well, I
All
mean,
the-
yeah, the underground, the Bakken field is. goes
I
way back.
don't, yeah, I don't know
decades.
where the Bakken fields were. I have no idea. But if you stood where I'm standing now, that's nothing there. It's just flat.
The Williston Basin.
And, I don't remember where that was. I think that's called Sawyer. Just some shots that were available at that time. Now, these are the Burlington Northern SD60M 3-piece windshield units that they had for a while. Some of these are still running around. With the what they call the white face paint scheme. Here's a Jeep with the white face.
Sometimes called pale face.
Back to Staples. Again, as I said, I like these old grain elevators. They make great props. Now we're back at Hoffman Street. Kind of heading back home. Okay, now we are on the UP in Nevada. This is in Garnett, out in the desert. And this is 1990. Again, I'm by myself here. I just flew into Nevada to the airport there. Well, actually, I'm by myself here, but 2 days later, I met my friend Jim Kleeman, and he flew out a couple of days later. He couldn't make it at the time I left, but anyway. So here's a nice kind of a telly shot with the smoke coming out, and then the wide angle shot. This train was not going very fast. Way over in the distance, very hard to see, is the interstate. You can just about see one car above the number boards of the second engine, way out there in the distance.
This is the former FP. This is Los Angeles.
This is Los Angeles. This is UP tracks.
This looks like rattlesnake country too.
So I was able to beat this train here by about, it's the same train. I was able to beat it here by about maybe 5 minutes. And while I was here, up on that hill in the background, a whole load of military vehicles climbed up and over that hill. And I was hoping they'd still be there when the train came, but the last one passed before he got here. But there was a whole bunch of them going up there. So I don't know what they were doing going behind that hill. They sure were making a lot of noise and dust. This is down on the SEMA sub down below. This is down below Las Vegas at a place called, I believe this is Gene. This is at Erie, Nevada. And this train did not smell good. Those first 6, 7, 8, 10 cars, however many were loaded with live pigs. And this was September of 1990, but it was still hot and they were smelly. All right, we're getting ready to finish up here. Well, close to it. We're now down in Arizona on the Santa Fe. This is at Peach Springs on the Transcon. Large contingent of engines, my favorite SD45 on the front. And as always, foreign power mixed in sooner or later. This train had a couple Burlington Northerns on the front with the Santa Fe's trailing, which kind of was good. This is on the Crookston Cutoff. I think it's a 25-mile long area of double track where at this particular time you could drive along the tracks from one end to the other. It was you needed a 4-wheel drive and good clearance to do it, which I had. And it was really nice to be able to do that. Again, this like Sherman Hill, as far as I know, this area is locked and gated nowadays with cameras and you can't get anywhere near it. There's side roads that you can come up to the tracks on that go into the Indian reservations, but you can't drive along the tracks like up on the top of that hill on the far right there. I drove up on that hill. It was no problem back in that day. And the lead unit here is one of their newer engines at that time. It was a GP60. This is at a place called East Perrin, where I had to drive up on this hill. I'm just actually standing right next to the vehicle to take this picture. You can see the road right at the end of the train is the road. In fact, there's another vehicle coming down there. So it was fairly easy access, but you needed clearance and you couldn't drive very fast. And here's another one. Boy, I was real happy with this. A couple really nice, freshly painted SD45s. This is now 1990, September of 1990. And of course, the war bonnets were coming back in vogue. This is in Flagstaff. Now, over on the left there, you can just barely see. I don't know if this was the year I did it or not, but there was a hotel over there that I once stayed in, and I had it booked for 2 nights. And there was a grade crossing right in front of this train, and they blew their horns so loud and so often all night. We had to check out of the hotel the next day and find another place. Didn't get any sleep. This is at a place called Maine. It's right at a grade crossing on the Transcon. This is a westbound. The signal bridge that you can see in the background is long gone. I had walked down there one time to get a shot closer to the signal bridge, and there was a bear carcass in the middle of the track. So I said, well, maybe I ought to go back up to the grade crossing. This is the Canyon Diablo Bridge. extremely hard to get to. And when I say that, unless you have four-wheel drive with clearance, the road back to here, I think, was about, I don't know, maybe, I don't remember how many miles it was. It wasn't very far off the interstate, but it took you a long time to get back there because the rocks were jagged. But I did it. And of course, in order to get this shot, I walked across that bridge to get to this side. Probably wouldn't do it nowadays. We can't do it nowadays because it's all fenced off. You can't, the signal bridge that you can see on the right, you can't even get up close to that anymore, like you could back at this particular time.
Also the wires right in front of it.
Now, this is Arizona?
Yes.
Yes. Canyon
that the-
Diablo. This is
what's
called
the-
Canyon Diablo. It's just east of Winslow.
What's the river there? Or do you know?
I don't think I don't know if it even has a name. It's just called Canyon Diablo. Anytime I've ever been there, I've never seen any water down there.
Okay.
And here it is again, with blue and yellow consists coming across in the afternoon. Good old Santa Fe. Something coming the other way. You didn't have to wait very long for trains here. Every now and then you'd have maybe an hour, but then all of a sudden, you'd have 4 or 5 within an hour. And then 1 or 2 every hour, so it was pretty good. This is the California eastbound number 4 at a place called McCarty's, New Mexico. Over above the cab of the engine, at both engines, you can see the interstate over there. I believe that's would that be Interstate 40? Yeah, this is Santa Fe Transcon. Yeah, Interstate 40. So this was easy to get to. I mean, the car is parked right behind where I'm standing. It's somewhere in New Mexico, milepost 32. I forget exactly where. Oops. This is a place called Rio Porco, New Mexico. And again, you can see that the war bonnets were coming into vogue here. Too bad they left. Triple GP60Ms. At one time, Conrail had these engines, some of these engines, types of engines on order, but then they canceled it. I sure wish they'd have gotten them. Now these trains here, as I recall, were moving along at quite a good clip. The timetable said that they were allowed 70. I don't know if they were doing that, but they were close to it. This is at the end of siding at the west end of Abo Canyon. And when I drove up, these two guys, the train was parked there, and these 2 gentlemen were just standing there looking the other way. I didn't want to bother them, so I didn't talk to them. They stood there for a while, and I didn't hear any radio chatter. They climbed back on and left. So I don't know what it was all about.
Is that black object in the background a grain elevator or an old water tank?
It was a grain elevator way off in the distance. This is east of Berlin.
The train.
The train here is eastbound. So as soon as they took off, I got some shots, and I knew I could beat it to the east end of Abo at a place called Shoalee. Well, I guess I got it somewhere else in the middle. Actually, I guess that's when they're just starting off there. Yeah, okay. At the same place, because you can see that elevator way in the background there. But then I beat them to the east end of Abo Canyon at the highway overpass at Shoalee, as they call it. Same train.
That doesn't look anything like that today.
No, it's completely different today. They've double tracked this and just a whole lot of work has been done. And you can't get in there. I mean, you can, but it's very difficult. And if anybody sees you in there, you'll probably get thrown out. I know people who have gone in there. Anyway, there it is. Eastbound at East Shoalee, East Abo Canyon. Back at the west end of Abo, at the west bridge, again, I walked over this bridge to get to this position. But I did it as soon as this is an eastbound train. As soon as a westbound had passed, I knew that there wasn't going to be anything coming, so I had plenty of time to walk over the bridge. My car is actually parked right at the other side of the bridge, down below the cars there that are just coming onto the bridge. You could drive all the way back in there. You can see the road in the upper left. And then this is a shot from behind that hill. The bridge now is to the left, like the hill that you see on the right. After I walked back across the bridge, I walked up on that hill and then went around the back of it to get another eastbound. So that's how I got this shot. Never saw any snakes. Was on the lookout for them, but never saw any. This is an eastbound. No, I'm sorry. This is a westbound coming out of Berlin. Berlin is to the rear of the train.
Kalkman.
This is a westbound coming into Berlin. Another that's a GP40X on the front. Santa Fe had, I believe, 3 or 4 of those. I'm not sure. This is somewhere out in the New Mexico desert area. I just found a nice place, pulled off the side of the road and waited. Had some really nice afternoon light here for this train. GP60 on the front. Heli view and a wide view, and another wide view. This is at east of Seligman, from the old Route 66 bridge. Another triple GP60M war bonnets. It's back up in the Crookton cutoff where you saw that first shot. Another one up there. I remember a lot of you are probably familiar with Joe McMillan, who has put out many Santa Fe books and over the years and is quite well known in the railfanning industry. I met him up here this day and we had a good chance to hang out for 5 or 6 hours. That was nice to meet Joe. This was a meet there at at West West Crookton. Yeah, West Crookton. This was a strange situation. I thought for sure we were gonna have a big storm, so well, there wasn't any train, so I jumped up here real quick to get a shot, and it wasn't too long. I was lucky. I got this train with a CAL unit on the point. So I was able to get one shot of it with the 4 signals and then with the 3, because he wasn't really going all that fast. So that was very nice. The dark clouds stayed around for a while. There were some nice yellow weeds on the right, blend in a little bit. So that was quite nice to see. This is west of Seligman. Again, west of Seligman. I think very, very close to the same place. And now we're out getting close to Crozier Canyon. This is actually, this train is coming out of Crozier Canyon at a place called Valentine. Those hills in the back are very neat looking. Now, if you went here today and stood in this same place, other than seeing BNSF engines and double stacks, it looks basically the same. And this was 1990. So it hasn't changed much. I don't even think there's any new buildings or houses in that field or anything like that. And then following that was a Santa Fe, another Santa Fe train with 3 BN units mixed in, double stack. A little bit closer, you can get a better look at that mound in the background there. A wide angle shot of that same train. And as I like to do, I'm finishing the show tonight with a shot of a caboose going away. This shot is actually from 1984, and this is in Olathe, Kansas. And there's the end of the train, and that's the end of the show. And I thank you all very much.
Very good.
Yeah, very, very nice, Bill.
Thank you.
Any questions for Bill?
Nice mix of railroads and scenery there, Bill.
Well, thank you. Thank you.